Welcome back to HiCode tutorial. In this session, I will introduce to you an amazingly helpful widget in HiCode, and that is V4 Widget. It reduces repetitive work for your development, and you'll find yourself using it in most of your projects. In this video, we will first look at its definition, and then some basic steps of adding a V4 widget. Then we will go to practice how to use it with an example. The first part, what is V4? A V4 widget renders the element or template block multiple times based on the source data. And we usually use an array for the source. It traverses the array and repeatedly creates elements, as many as the number of rows in the array. I will make a screenshot of this for your reference. Let's go on to how to add such a widget. Let's go on to look at how to add such a widget. So the first step is to prepare a group of elements that you want them to be repeatedly created. And next, add a V4 widget. Then select an array as data source for the V4 widget. And last step is to bind data. For the V4 widget itself, bind it to the data source, the array, and for the group of elements to be repeated, bind them to current data or current index. Let's go to the editor to make it clear. This is where we leave in the last session. I'm going to create a copy of this project. Click File and Save As. Name it V4 for the new session. And we can close the previous one. First thing, let's go through the steps of creating a V4 loop. It says first to prepare a group of elements. So what is a group of elements? For this project, the group is this row. It contains a name, a phone number, and 2 buttons. And these elements are contained in this row. And this group of elements may take many different forms. For example, in my workbench, each of these cards for my apps can be seen as a group of elements. They share the same structure, which starts with a title and the type of the app and the status, which says it's developing, and the complexity point and some buttons. Apart from the static display, they also react in the same way to my mouse. When I hover over them, they have the same behavior. Therefore, each unit or a card like this is a group of elements that awaits to be repeated in V4 widget. So now we'll only need to keep one of them. We only need to make one group that is the most complicated, or in other words, a group that has the most elements. Now let's create a V4 widget and bind it to the array, the data source. To add a V4 widget, click the page and look for this icon with a 4. Click on the group of elements that we have prepared and drag it into the V4 widget. Make V4 widget its parent. Next, go to V4 widget's one and only property and bind it to the contact list and select its value. We now have 4 contacts in our array, and before we take the next step, let's go to the preview to see what it looks like now. It is all showing this same person because in the last lesson it was bound to the first line of information. Let's go back to clear it. Now we only have 4 rows of name, phone, and buttons. This is the effect of V4 widget. It repeatedly creates elements as many as the number of rows in the array. We can check the detail of the array in console. give an event to the page. When it is displayed, select this array and console log. It now shows here in the console the value of contact list. And what does this 4 stand for? It means we have 4 rows in the array. So it is created 4 times because we have 4 rows of data. We can try using V4 with an ordinary array. Add some value to it. Say 5. And do not leave it empty. Change this V4 couple to this array. And we'll also need to print the information of array 1. Now we're having 5 contacts, because array 1 has 5 elements. This is basically what V4 does. So now when you want to create a list of contacts, you don't need to make a name card for every one of them. Just have the data in an object array and let V4 automatically generate it for you. And next time, when you are preparing a group of elements for the V4 widget, you can first copy-paste them to give yourself a little preview of what they look like when they are created multiple times. It helps you to make sure the V4 result will be in your expected format. Now we're at stage 4, bind data. So how do we synchronize this information with the data source? To bind data, the first step is to click the binding link. So go to the name and phone, select bind. But for today, for the children of a V4 widget, we are no longer using this select button, because V4 widget gives its children 2 special properties called current data and current index, and you can find them in the drop-down list. If I copy-paste this name card outside the V4 widget, you can see it doesn't have those 2 properties. What we are going to do next is to select current data 1 name for name and current data phone for phone. But first, allow me to spend a few minutes on what do current data and current index mean. Let us use console log again to see what information do these 2 contain. I will borrow this button for a while to click it and print the information in console log. Add an event to the button. There is already one, so click and enter it. I don't want it to help me change the name anymore, so I will delete this. Add an action. And the target should be system. Console log. And print here the current data 1's value. So the value will contain both name and phone. And for this, I will let it print current index. Please note that only when the event is created inside the V4 widget will it be able to access current data and current index. For this event, it won't have such an option. Now let's go to the console and see what those 2 are going to say. First, as I've completed the data binding for the names and phones, all my contacts are shown here. Different contents for different lines. And now when I press Edit for the first line, it prints name Luke and phone 001. And this one is the current index. It says 0. And for the second line, the information is as shown. I think the console log has made current data and current index easier to understand. The V4 widget renders the element or template block multiple times based on source data. It visits these rows one by one. And when it's visiting the first row, the current data is as such in the bracket, and the current index is 0. And when it's creating the next line, the current index and current data change to the second row. And you can access a certain value in the current data using its keys. Let's go back to the editor and bind it again. For name, I will select current data 1 dot name, and for phone, current data 1 dot phone. Next, we will be manipulating the data source. First, I will add a add contact function, and then we will complete the functions of edit and delete buttons. For adding contacts, I will make a copy of this row in this page and change its user interface. I won't be needing this text anymore. Oh, and since I've moved this row outside the V4 widget, the loop has become unknown because it no longer has a data source, so I will simply delete this. And in this row, I will need 2 input boxes and 1 button would suffice. Change them into 1 row. Change the placeholders to give the users some hints. For this one, enter name. And this one is to enter phone.
And the text of this button should be add.
Give it another color. And this line is called add contact. And it should be at the top of the list. So how do we add a new contact? By clicking this button, we will put these 2 inputs into the data source, the object array. So select this button and give it an event. The target is the contact list. And what we need to do is to add 1 row. Actually, we can use this add 1 row by element. And for the name, we can select from tree and it should be enter names value. And this is the input from enter phone. We can add it either to the head or tail, and for now we will choose head so that we can see the new contacts on top. Let's try to add someone new. We have successfully added Tina. But a proper contact list would help us to clear these boxes after we add. So let's go back and add a few lines of logic. When we click add another action. The target is the 2 input boxes, and we'll want them to clear value. Also, we can print the new contact list in console log to see the data that we've just added. The friend we've just added is now gone. This is because front-end variable widgets are for temporarily storing data. If we want to retain the data, we'll have to use databases on the server. Let's add her again. The input boxes are cleared, and this is the new contact list array. We can see Tina added to the top. Also, the numbers of rows are updated, so that Tina's current index is 0. Next, let's finish the delete button. For delete, when it is clicked, we will need to delete a line from the contact list, so the target is again the contact list. We are never going to delete this row. And the action should be delete row. So which one should we select here? We will use this delete rows by index because within a V4 widget, we have the current index information and we can locate the target row by index. In other words, the row number. And select here the current index. We can go to the console log to make sure of it. If I want to delete this line, the index of this line is 3, and it is the same with the row index. Therefore, we can use current index for row index. Check if it works. Delete the second line. Also, we can print the delete result inside the console log. As expected, only 3 rows remain. And next, the Edit button. When I click Edit, I will want to have an additional window so that I can edit the information in that window. And I will realize that with Banner widget. So first, I will make such a window. Go to page 1 and add an absolute banner. Position it to the middle center of the screen. We usually use mask to help user focus on this area. We can change the mask's color. This is where you modify the transparency and set the background color to white. For editing, I will also need 2 input boxes. I can directly borrow them from Add Contacts. And because this is an absolute banner, we can change the widget's size and position by dragging them or using keyboard. Set the X value of them. And I will need some buttons. For this one, and cancel. What will this OK button do? It will read the input of these 2 input boxes and update a line in the contact list. So go to the OK button and edit its event. And the action would be set values. We are going to set multiple elements, name and phone, and they are in the same row. Still, the row index should be the current index. But there is no such option here. This is because this absolute banner is outside the V4 widget. So how do we communicate the current index value to this absolute banner? We're going to do this with what I would like to call a data hub. Add in this page 1 a numeric variable, and this will be the current index. When I click Edit, this window will pop up, and at the same time I will add an event to assign the current index value to this variable. I will go to the Edit button and add an event. When it is clicked, select Current Index and set value. The value should be, now you can find the current index. And now we can simply go to OK button and select the row index to be this current index value. And for the column, select name, and its value should be the input from this input box. Add a set here. And for the phone, it should be the input from enter phone input box. When you are working on your project, you can go to preview from time to time to check if everything is going on fine. And it helps you to notice some parts that may need some adjustment. And how lucky we're already having a scope error here. So scope error means you may be using something inside this V4 outside it. So let's look at these two buttons. So here we have a unknown loop. This is because I copy-pasted these two buttons from inside the loop. I will need to delete the event for this cancel. And now it's working fine. We still need some logic to complete the function of this window. We'll only need it to appear after we have clicked the Edit button. So go to Edit button, and when it is clicked, select Absolute Banner and set it to Show. And by default, we will hide it. Also, we will need to hide this again when OK is clicked. And when Cancel is clicked, we'll need to hide it too. Now let's try to edit the contacts. Click Edit and enter a new name.
And confirm.
It is changed as expected. But is there anything else we can do to optimize the user experience? When I click another edit, Lucky is still there. I think it would be better if it automatically filled the two input boxes with the original information, and after I clicked OK, it will clear the two boxes. So first, an event for edit. It will set values for the input boxes. Set value, and value comes from the contact list and a certain element of it. The row should be current index value, and the column should be phone. I can copy-paste this and change the target. The value should be changed to the column as name. And we need to clear the boxes when this one is clicked. So clear value and paste it. Clear value. Oh, I forgot to hide this. Hide it with this little eye. Edit, autofilled. OK. Add. Added. And delete. And that is basically all for today. When you want to add a row in the user interface, what you actually do is to add a new row in the object array in your data source. And when you want to delete, delete in the data source. And when you want to edit, set value in your data source. And now you've learned more about rendering elements with data. I hope you can really master the skills from these two videos. I would like to suggest that you follow the steps and create such a contact list by yourself. It is for practice, and we'll also be using this example for later courses on databases and services. That is all for this video, and thank you for watching.